up, you guys? It's your girl Ubuhle.benkosiiiii, and it's True Crime Tuesday. Before we get started with today's video, can you please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also turn on post notifications, and also drop a comment down below of other true crime cases that you want me to cover. So, today we're going to be covering the case of South Africa's first female serial killer, and her name was Daisy de Melker. Daisy Hankhorn Smith was born on the 1st of June 1886 at Seven Fountains near Grahamstown. She was one of 11 children of William and Fanny Hankhorn Smith. When she was 12, she went to Bulawayo, Rhodesia, which is now known as Zimbabwe, to go live with her father and two of her brothers. 3 years later, she became a boarder at the Good Hope Seminary School in Cape Town. She returned to Rhodesia but found rural life unexciting, so she came back to South Africa and enrolled at the Berea Nursing Home in Durban. She would frequently visit Rhodesia, and on one of the visits, she met a man named Bert Fuller, and they fell in love. Bert Fuller was a civil servant at the Native Affairs Department at Broken Hill. They planned to marry on October of 1907. However, Fuller contracted black water fever and died with Daisy at his bedside on the very day that they were supposed to get married. Fuller left a will, leaving £100 to his fiancée, who was Daisy. Now, to put that in today's context, £100 would now be equivalent to £4,500, and you can do the conversions in South African rands. In March of 1909, about 18 months after Bert Fuller's death, Daisy married William Alfred Cowell, a plumber in Johannesburg. She was 22 and he was 36, and together the couple had 5 children together, 4 of whom died. The first 2 were twins and they died at infancy. The third child died of an abscess in their liver, and the fourth suffered convulsions and bowel problems and died before the age of 15 months. Their last and only surviving son was named Rhodes Cecil, and he was born in June of 1911. Early on the morning of January 11th, 1923, William Cowell became violently ill after taking Epsom salts that were prepared for him by his wife. The first doctor who attended him did not see his condition as severe, so he just prescribed him with a bromide mixture. Cowell's condition deteriorated rapidly, and by the time the first doctor left, he had taken a turn for the worst. His wife summoned the neighbors and called a second doctor. Cowell was in excruciating pain when the second doctor arrived. He foamed at the mouth, he was blue in his face, and he screamed in agony anytime anyone would touch him, until he eventually died. Faced with these symptoms, the second doctor suspected a strychnine poisoning and refused to sign the death certificate. Post-mortem was subsequently performed by the acting district surgeon, Dr. Fergus. The cause of death was certified to be chronic nervitis and cerebral hemorrhage. And Daisy Cowell, the sole beneficiary of William Cowell, inherited £1,795. And again, to put that into context, that would be £81,000 in today's money. At the age of 36 and 3 years to the day after her first husband's death, Daisy Cowell married another plumber whose name was Robert Sprout, and he was 10 years her senior. In October of 1927, Robert Sprout became violently ill. He was in great agony and suffered severe muscle spasms such as William Cowell, but he eventually recovered. A few weeks later, he suffered a second fatal attack after drinking beer in the presence of his wife and stepson Rhodes Cecil. He died on the 6th of November 1927, and Dr. Malinik, a physician, certified the cause of death was arteriosclerosis and cerebral hemorrhage. No autopsy was performed, and his widow inherited £4,000, plus a further £560 paid by his pension fund, and altogether Daisy Sprout would have inherited, with today's money, £205,200. So she was rich. On January 21st, 1931, Daisy Sprout married again. This time her husband was a widower and his name was Sidney Clarence de Melker, who, like her previous husbands, was also a plumber. She got a thing for plumbers. Late in February of 1932, Daisy de Melker traveled from Germiston to Turffontein to obtain arsenic from a chemist. She used her former name Sprout and claimed that she needed this arsenic to destroy a sick cat. Less than a week later, in March of 1932, her sons Rhodes Cecil fell ill at work after drinking coffee from a thermos flask prepared for him by his mother. A fellow worker, James Webster, also fell ill, but he ended up recovering because he had only drank a sip of that coffee. Rhodes died at home midday on the 5th of March. A post-mortem followed and its cause of death was given as cerebral malaria. Rhodes was buried at the New Brixton Cemetery the very next day, and his mother inherited £100 from his life insurance. At the time of his death, Rhodes was only 20 years old. His stepsister would describe him as lazy and sometimes unwilling to wake up and go to work, while another witness would describe him as bright, conscientious, and a real gentleman. These were two conflicting statements, but none of them could explain why Daisy would want to kill her own son. One theory suggests that Rhodes was expecting inheritance at 21, and he was expecting more than his mother could give him, and he was becoming a burden to her. Or it could also be as easily as the fact that she didn't like him and he was an embarrassment, so she decided to get rid of him. By this time, William Sprout, who was the brother of Daisy's dead husband, had started to become suspicious, and he took these specific suspicions to the authorities. On the 15th of April 1931, the police officers obtained a court order that permitted them to exhume the bodies of William Cowell, Robert Sprout, and Rhodes Cecil Cowell. The first body to be removed was her son, Rhodes Cowell. The corpse was found to be in an unusually good state of decomposition, which would also suggest a high arsenic intake. A state forensic pathologist was able to isolate parts of his body that had arsenic presence, such as his bursa, backbone, and his hair. Although the bodies of William Cowell and Robert Sprout were largely decomposed, traces of strychnine was found in their bodies. Both their bones had a pinkish discoloration, which would suggest that they both took pink strychnine, which was common at the time. Traces of arsenic was also found in the fingernails and hair of James Webster, the colleague of Rhodes Cowell, who had also drank the coffee and got sick. A week later, police arrested Daisy de Melker for the murder of the three men. The case grew and grew a lot of coverage. The Turffontein chemist Mr. Abraham Spricken, from whom she had bought the arsenic from, recognized her in a newspaper, Mrs. D.L. Sprout, in the poisons register, and he went to the police. The de Melker trial lasted for 30 days. 60 witnesses were called for the Crown, and at least half that number was called for the defense. To present the forensic evidence, the Crown hired the expertise of Dr. J.M. Watt, an expert toxicologist and professor of pharmacology at the University of Witwatersrand. In summing up the verdict, the judge pointed out that the Crown was unable to prove conclusively that Daisy was responsible for the murders of her two husbands, and said, I quote, "It does not convince me, nor does it convict the accused," close quotes. On the third count, however, he had come to an inescapable conclusion that Daisy de Melker was responsible for the murder of her son, Rhodes Cecil Cowell, because it was evident that Rhodes Cecil had taken in arsenic. The coffee flask held traces of arsenic. The accused had put the arsenic in the flask, and the defensive suicide claim was untenable. When the judge finally turned to Daisy to pass out the sentence, she went white, but she still proclaimed her innocence. Daisy de Melker, at the age of 46, was condemned to death by hanging, and this sentence was carried out on the 30th of December 1932 at Pretoria Central Prison. This was a bit short, but I just wanted to do something different. We haven't had a woman on our channel, So yeah, I needed to cover this case. It was really intriguing to me. Thank you guys so much for watching my video today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next week Tuesday. Bye.
My guy pretty like a girl, and he got 5 stories to tell. See both sides like Chanel, see on both sides like Chanel. Swimming laps through cool water.